Dennis, you and the UAW mean so much to us because our shared values provide a strong basis for us to work together. And I couldn't help but notice Dennis saying in 3 years he'll join me in the streets. At least that's the way I put it. Since Walter Reuther, UAW leaders don't run again after they're 65, the top leaders. And as you know, we adopted the rule of 70 at our last convention. And this is all part of building a union that looks like its members, where we have no privileges except the privilege to fight harder, to aim higher, to work harder. No privileges. And when we leave these jobs, we go back to the streets, or we shouldn't take these jobs in the first place. On a calmer note, I want to welcome our past Secretary-Treasurer, Jeff Reckenbach, himself continues as a Midwest activist, building the movement every day in Ohio, works closely with Senator Sherrod Brown to fight fast track in the TPP, and works to fight to make the Ohio Democratic Party a progressive party, the first state party in the country to say no to fast track as a Democratic Party. And greetings also from our past president, Morty Barr, who's doing well. He leads the Elderly Housing Development and Operations Corporation. He sends his love as he recovers at home from some minor health issues that prevent traveling. Also give a shout out to retired Secretary-Treasurer Barbara Easterling, who continues to lead the Alliance for Retired Americans. And to all the retired officers and staff who joined us here today or sent good wishes from home, thanks to all of you for all you do. And we welcome all our retirees and the RMC chapter leaders. I want to thank this executive board for their willingness to aim higher, take risks, experiment, try everything possible to better our contracts, build our union, build our movement. I want to particularly acknowledge those who are not running again on this board. Irene Robles, stand up. Irene Robles. Nestor Soto Lopez. Bill Bates. Mary Taylor. I want to thank the staff who are here and those who are at home for committing to the cause each day, no matter what we face. I want to particularly thank those staff who sit up here and every day support me, despite incredible odds against us in much of what we attempt. We share our love, our anger, our minds, our hearts, and that has been a great experience. Thank you. I want to thank Rachel and Julie, my two daughters, for their love and support and commitment to movement building and all they do. And finally, thanks to all my friends, sisters, and brothers beyond our union who help provide the basis for my optimism and hope in the future. Thanks to all of you. We are here under a banner, though I don't see it, that says, "It's our turn." It's our turn. And I want us to think about what that really means. Can we challenge ourselves to march out of here fiercely determined to make that a reality? There is no question about the justness of that cause. It's our turn. And if not now, when? The 1% that controls the wealth of our nations now believes they can control our democracy, our workplace, our environment, our earth. We cannot keep playing by their rules. The deck is stacked. The dice are loaded. The game is fixed. As Linda said, it is not hopeless. It is not hopeless. There is always a path to resist. There's always a way when we're under attack to stand up and fight back. But as Dennis said, by ourselves, unions are no longer large enough to accomplish this. We can't negotiate alone. We shouldn't organize alone or do political work on our own. The last 10 years have taught us that our broader story, our narrative of economic justice and democracy, potentially draws in the support of millions. Millions who don't have a union at work. Millions that don't have a political movement that speaks to them or for them. We must go deeper. Our traditional CWA triangle needs to grow in the hearts and minds of our members. We need to nurture our activists and leaders. You, this convention, made this possible in recent years, taking risks to launch the Strategic Industry Fund and the Growth Fund to do just that. And we're doing that. And you'll hear much more about that from the Defense Fund Oversight Committee. Relative to many unions, CWA is in a stronger position today than 2 years ago when we met in Pittsburgh. We should be proud of the contracts we are bargaining, but even more, the way we bargain, with the members involved and mobilized, with elected bargaining teams, with town hall calls, with an army of stewards, and actions to galvanize support and increase our voice at the table. I mentioned just one example now. Recently, Local 1400 demonstrated this strength, striking Fairpoint Communications for 131 days through more than 100 inches of New England snow, shouting, one day longer, one day stronger. That strike was against drastic cuts in health care, retirement, gutting of our employment security. Don Trementozzi and Local 1400, stand up, be recognized. And now, let's roll a short part of some video from that battle.
When the union's inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, there can be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. What force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? But the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. Is there aught we hold in common with the greedy parasite who would lash us into serfdom and would crush us with his might? Is there anything left to us but to organize and fight, for the union makes us strong? Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong.
Okay, Local 1400. One day longer, one day stronger. It's our turn. This year, more than 200,000 of our members are bargaining, telling employers across Canada and the United States, from Puerto Rico to Guam, that it's our turn. As I shout out some of these huge groups that are bargaining now or will be this year, please stand up and remain standing if your local is part of these fights. Flight attendants at United, stand up. Passengers, remain standing. Passenger service agents at American, stand up. Remain standing. AT&T Midwest, AT&T Legacy T, stand up. AT&T Southeast, AT&T District 3, stand up. General Electric locals started bargaining this week, stand up. Newspaper Guild at the Washington Post, stand up. New Jersey State Workers, stand up. Verizon East, stand up. Everyone else who has bargaining this year, stand up. And while you're standing up, let's shout it out together. It's our turn. Stand up, fight back. This side of the room, it's our turn. This side of the room, stand up, fight back. Ready? It's our turn. Okay. That's what our employers need to hear all year. And we'll be joined by 160,000 more at the UAW bargaining with Big Three Auto. We'll be joined by 200,000 bargaining now, the U.S. Postal Service, from the APWU, and many more. We will also fight for the $15 an hour minimum wage. But we will put all of our employers on notice that whether we are fighting for $15 or for $40 an hour, We will fight harder than ever. We will raise our pay and standard of living. This year, it's our turn. Later this morning, we will celebrate our organizing from the last 2 years. Amazing stories of never giving up. In total, we've organized together more than 19,000 members in new bargaining units since we last met, and in our existing units, more than 75,000 new members have joined. Together, that's almost a quarter of our union. Again, hard, but not hopeless, as we will see when we celebrate those achievements. So now, this is off script. If you want to read the script, you can go to the website. If I didn't do that, I would miss something. So I want to read a couple sentences from 2 years ago in Pittsburgh, because we don't start over every 2 years or before this every year. In my report to you 2 years ago in Pittsburgh, I said, for now and for years to come, we may be committing as much to resistance as to a forward path for change. It looks more and more as though we need new politics, not just more Democrats. It looks as though we need to rebuild. We need to build a 21st century democracy versus repeat the same strategies at our workplaces and in our political action. If we just keep choosing candidates based on who is better, things are likely to keep getting worse. But in resistance, we learn what makes a difference. We learn how to create hope in dark times. And our solidarity and love for each other can carry us through as we organize both wider and deeper. And we came up then with the first version of this. No worries, I'm not going through it. 50 million people building a movement for economic justice and democracy. But more importantly than that booklet, in these 2 years, together, we have helped lead 2 massive campaigns in this country and countless numbers at a state or local level. But these 2 national campaigns give us a path of hope, a path to the future. The Senate Rules campaign. And as we joked 2 years ago, how dull a campaign could we pick to change the Senate rules? People's eyes glazed over. But we knew what was at stake. We knew that with the rules that Senate had, the NLRB would die that year, 2013. That we would have nowhere to go in this legal system when workers are fired in a strike or in organizing or in mobilizing. We would have nowhere to go to enforce anything, but the other side would still enforce all the limits that the law has on us, all the limits on secondary boycotts, meaning standing up for each other, supporting each other, as they did in Flint, Michigan in 1934 when the whole town shut down. And so we took on that Senate Rules campaign. First of all, for the NLRB, where the terms had expired and the last one would have expired at the end of the year. And then we realized that to win that fight, we had to line up with others. And so the Senate was also blocking because they need 60 votes. And every Republican was in lockstep, a lesson to Democrats that they never do. Every Republican was in lockstep that they wouldn't confirm a single board member, and they wouldn't confirm the director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The key element in the banking reform that had followed the banking collapse when they got bailed out, and that they wouldn't confirm the head of the Environmental Protection Agency, and that they wouldn't confirm even the Labor Secretary. And so we banded together. It was called Fix the Senate Now. And we had every green group because of EPA. And we had Elizabeth Warren and the financial reformers because of the CFPB. And we had all of labor because of the NLRB and the Labor Secretary. And before and after that convention in Pittsburgh, we were able to mobilize millions to say to that Democratic Senate majority, if not now, when? Constitution didn't say 60% to confirm a president's nominees. It just said confirm. And we were able to mobilize millions. And then at the end of July 2013, we broke through. And the Senate confirmed 5 members to the NLRB by a majority vote. And they confirmed Dick Cordray to head up the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau by a majority vote. And they confirmed Gina McCarthy as head of EPA. And they confirmed Tom Perez as the Labor Secretary. And we didn't stop. Fix the Senate Now became the Democracy Initiative. And 55 groups with 30 million members said to the Senate majority, step 1, good. Step 2, not a single federal judge is getting confirmed. There's a backlog of 100 judges, and they enforce the law. And these 100 judges are more on our side than the other side. We need them confirmed. And in November of 2013, with this massive coalition building, the Senate majority changed their rules, and 100 federal judges got confirmed. But as we laid out in this booklet, that was only one small step. Still not what democracy looks like. Still facing money in politics that overwhelms us. Still facing voting rights being smashed state by state. Still facing immigrants who can't get any path to citizenship. Not even the 20-year path that the Senate passed. Couldn't get a floor vote. Couldn't get on the floor of the House of Representatives. So we kept this democracy initiative going to fight on these issues. Lesson 1. Lesson 2. As Dennis said, the fight against fast track. The fight against fast track for the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and many trade deals to come. Fast track would last for 6 years. It would say not only this president, but the next one, and possibly the one after that, that you can continue to negotiate trade deals in secret, not only secret from us, but secret from the Congress. But at the same time, TPP has 500 corporate lobbyists and lawyers writing every page of the chapter that they care about. And that ain't right. And so again, 2 years ago, we started with labor. We started with ourselves. Just like with Senate rules. Few were paying attention to the Trans-Pacific Partnership. They give these things names, they sound like they mean nothing. But we knew what it meant to make a trade deal with Vietnam. 90 million people, not small at all. Even now, a 75-cent an hour average wage. Already the center of most of the clothes we wear, of most of the electronic products, and a government where workers have no rights, where everything's controlled. And when that government makes a deal, there's no regulation about the environment or about workers' rights. And 3 of the other countries have no democracy: Brunei and Singapore and Malaysia. And then of the other 8 that are democracies, only the United States has fast track. And why is that? Why did we have fast track for the North American Free Trade Agreement and for CAFTA, the Central American Free Trade Agreement, and others that were rammed through? Because in every single case, whether it was Clinton or Bush, and we must learn these lessons, and now Obama, sadly, those deals are done by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce across the street from the White House. These deals are done by the State Department that thinks it'll bring countries closer to us. And they claim that's patriotism. Every one of us in this room knows what patriotism means. Our children and our brothers and sisters die for it. We are the patriots. Patriotism doesn't mean giving away our jobs. Walk through this city. Look at buildings once grand. Look at so many people without hope. A city in bankruptcy recently. Why was it in bankruptcy? Bad trade deals was the #1 overwhelming reason, and our public workers here know that whether it's here in Michigan or in New Jersey or in California, trade deficits, $11 trillion in trade deficits in 20 years lead to public sector deficits, the destruction of the public sector as well. We learn from these cases that we are united even when they divide us, that we must be united, and that's how we win. So where's the hope? The hope is what you've been doing, what we've been doing together on Fast Track and TPP. How we made this again, like the Senate rules, something that people would have skipped. Again, we've made it a movement of millions. Right now, at this minute, it depends on a vote in the House of Representatives. Leader Pelosi called me Saturday, and she believes that vote will be Thursday night. They've kicked that vote down the road for a year and a half because they didn't have the votes. And now our future and our children's future hangs by a thread. And the work you've done has led to 87% of House Democrats, the party that claims to be for working people, have said, I'll vote no on Fast Track, Mr. President, even though you're from my party. I will stand up and fight back, and I will vote no, and 160 Democrats will vote no. But there are 18 Democrats who will vote yes. And we've had demonstrations where we bring our old shoes. I'm not giving this one away. We go to their office after they announce the 18, that's out of 188. That's only 10%. And we throw the shoes on their doorstop. And we say to them, we will not walk for you again, ever again. You betrayed us. We will never walk again for you. Never again. We have to be relentless. We have to build coalitions way beyond labor. We need the Greens. We need the students. We need the faith-based groups. We need the civil rights groups. That's how we get the movement of 50 million. That's why we have at least 160 Democrats and right now 60 Republicans, some of whom we cannot count on. Big shock. And that would defeat fast track. But Speaker Boehner is joined with President Obama, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the Business Roundtable. They're all against us. And they think this week they'll find a few Ed Perlmutters, like Kathleen Rice in New York. And today our members are there with Rice telling her, you're not just getting our shoes, you're going to get a primary when you run in 2 years because you betrayed us and we will fight you and fight you and fight you. And we have amazing examples. North Carolina, where our two key leaders, one is a flight attendant, and one from telecom, but a whole army of CWAers working with Reverend Barber and the Moral Mondays. And that's right. But then, most importantly, Reverend Barber recording a radio message about why he, from Eastern North Carolina, why he wants the representatives from North Carolina to vote no on fast track. And we've moved much of the North Carolina, a state where labor is under 3% with collective bargaining. We have moved most of the members of Congress, one Democrat still undecided, the other Democrats all voting no on fast track, joined by at least 3 Republicans. This is what democracy looks like. This is what our movement can be. Building coalitions that are broader and deeper, going in the streets on voting rights and then turning around and getting the same movement that's there on voting rights with incredible repression in North Carolina to be there to say it's not just voting rights, it's our economic issues. They're all the same story. State after state, that's what we're doing. Across the South, in Texas, amazing work and victories along the way. Tomorrow, Chris will pause this convention, and every one of you, hopefully every one of you, will call up your member of Congress. That'll be more than 2,000 calls just then to say vote no on fast track, that we don't need more sacred trade deals. The president said anybody can see it, but of course, the anybody is only special people. We want to see it. Congress should see it. We should have at it. That's what democracy means. But more importantly, you lead more than 500,000 people. Today, call back to your locals. Tell them this is a warning. In every work site, when you're calling here, they need to mobilize, pass around a cell phone, and make the calls there. Because then you turn 2,000 calls into 500,000 calls, and if they then go home and do the same thing, it'll be millions of people saying, we're sounding the alarm. They're going to ram it through Thursday night, but we can stop them. It's right on the edge which way this will go. You can stop them. We can light up that coalition. We will be having mass town hall calls that I'll be on in these swing districts Wednesday night. We will get our whole coalition fired up, and we can still win this fight. Why is this fight so hard? Why is this fight so hard? Whether it's these Democrats who, if they all voted together, would be able to stop this because there's more than enough Republicans then to get to 218, and that's what we need. Or the Republicans, who overwhelmingly are going to vote for this. And it should challenge us all that it's not our party, it's what we stand for. This presidential election gets a lot of media attention. Right now, the leading candidates in both parties expect to raise more than $2 billion each for an election, because we don't have national popular vote, that is on the list, will be waged in 6 states. And yeah, if we live in Ohio or one of the other states, Florida, it'll boost some revenue in those states. But much more importantly, the Supreme Court has said that long string of cases, they started with workers' rights in the 40s. They said that corporations are people and they have free speech rights. So back in the 40s, they said corporations can run a campaign to smash the union, prevent organizing, or destroy collective bargaining. And it spread gradually. We were too complacent. And then 5 years ago in Citizens United, they said virtually unlimited amounts of money through independent expenditure campaigns could be thrown into these elections. And so these candidates who are running for president, they say to themselves, well, the common knowledge is that you need this year $2 billion. That's double 2012. In 2008, it was already a shame. At $700 million was raised by both candidates. Where does that money come from? It's not how we're spending the COPE, or Political Action Fund money that we raise. It comes from the corporate lobbyists. It comes from the management, the money bundlers. It comes from the people who hold retreats right now with these candidates, too often in both parties, and write giant checks and then set up PAC funds of millions of dollars more. Two brothers, the Koch brothers alone, have pledged to spend between $300 million and $1 billion themselves. That's for all the elections, not just president. And so we see the linkages in these campaigns. We see the links between the Chamber of Commerce that wanted to see the NLRB gutted and at one point claimed that they had destroyed the board. We see the links between the Chamber of Commerce and most Republicans, the Senate and the House, ready to vote for fast track because, quote, they're free traders. There's nothing free about it. This is where they get their money. This is their bread and butter. This is who funds their campaigns. And in too many cases, they're corporate Democrats as well, who talk one way and walk a different way. It's what we do that matters, not what we say. And we'll hold them accountable for how they vote and what they do. And as I said to President Obama, we would have done anything when you said 2 years free community college to fight for that. But Mr. President, you know as well as I do, when you said that this year in the State of the Union, it had no chance of going anywhere with this Congress. But in the same State of the Union, when you talked about fast track and TPP, you absolutely knew that at that point in time, you didn't care if you passed that bill with Boehner. You didn't care if that was Boehner trade. You knew that a majority of Democrats, you're supposed to lead this party, were going to vote no. And you said, Larry, I don't care where I get those votes. That's got to be a wake-up call for us. That can't be my learning. It's got to be our learning. We can't wait till our next president goes to the Oval Office and in some ways feels honored. The honor we have is to stand together here and to build the biggest coalitions we can and to defeat fast track, the TPP, build a movement for democracy in this country. When I am asked why I did not run again for president of this amazing union, largely I point to the movement we are building and explain that even though I'm not running again, I'm committed to building this movement. Ten years as president, and all of it in a time under attack like never before, bargaining mostly on defense, holding on to what we gained in earlier years when our movement was much stronger. As Dennis said, the economic collapse of 2008, and then in 2011, reeling under the attacks on the public sector from Walker in Wisconsin, but spreading everywhere, including to our own 50,000 public worker members in New Jersey, where Democrats joined with Christie and eliminated our right to bargain health care for public workers. And now our pensions in New Jersey are under attack again. At the same time, the U.S. Supreme Court is taking aim at the agency shop for all public workers. And as we predicted, the public sector attacks spread to the private sector, so-called right to work, got adopted across the Midwest, in Indiana, here in Michigan, and in Wisconsin. Through it all, I've been honored and excited every day to serve, but knowing that we had very able candidates like Chris ready to run for president, if I stepped aside, I decided to do that and focus on movement building for the years ahead. But my ability to help build what we call the movement of 50 million will rely, first of all, on our new CWA president, our executive board, and all of you. I commit to you that I will fight just as hard, shoulder to shoulder with you, to build this movement. In the years ahead, I do hope to live a little better, love a little better, and laugh a little better. Some would say I never laugh. But I will not rest unless we are well on the path to economic justice and democracy. As I wrote in September when I announced I would not run, we are all perched on the earth as it orbits around the sun at 65,000 miles an hour, perched with 7 billion others for a short period of time. But when we commit to each other, the meaning of our lives grows immensely. In 1987, when we started Jobs with Justice, we signed a pledge card, still used by the 40 Jobs with Justice coalitions today. I'll be there. I'll be there 5 times a year for someone else's fight as well as my own. If enough of us are there, we'll all start winning. In that same spirit, I pledge, I'll be there with you as we continue to build a stronger and deeper movement for change. I'll be there as we build the Democracy Initiative to get big money out of politics and get voters in. I'll be there with workers and organizers, organizing at least one day longer than the union busting management and their high-paid lawyers. I'll be there in Iowa or New Jersey or wherever we can connect economic justice and democracy to political action. And I'll be there to keep up the fight starting tomorrow against fast track and the TPP until we have fair trade and workers' rights, not just investor rights. As a founder of Jobs with Justice and author of the pledge, I was inspired by the final scene from the 1941 film Grapes of Wrath, as Tom Joad spoke to his mother. I'm not Tom Joad, but I'll close with that.
Well, maybe it's like Casey says. The fella ain't got a soul of his own, just a little piece of a big soul. The one big soul that belongs to everybody.
Then what, Tom?
Then it don't matter. I'll be all around in the dark. I'll be everywhere, wherever you can look. Wherever there's a fight so hungry people can eat, I'll be there. I'll be in the way guys yell when they're mad. I'll be in the way kids laugh when they're hungry and they know supper's ready. And when the people are eating the stuff they raise and living in the houses they build, I'll be there too.
I don't understand it, Dad.
Me neither, Ma, but just something I've been thinking about. Give me your hand, Ma.
One, two. I'm honored to be here this morning to honor this wonderful man. So I want this side of the room with our fists pumped, and you're gonna repeat these words. Get up, stand up for your rights. And this side will say, get up, stand up, and don't give up the fight. This side, get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. This side, stand up, get up. Don't give up the fight. Larry stood for justice. Larry stood for good. Organized our workers like a good leader should. Larry gave us liberty across jurisdictional lines. He taught us how to fight. Now we gotta stand up for our rights. This side, get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Let me hear you. Stand up, don't give up the fight. Come on, let me hear you. Stand up, stand up. Oh yeah, stand up for your right. Let me see your fist, get up. There you go. Larry Cohen's legacy will live on and on. Gave us our direction to keep our membership strong. He's the man of the hour, grounded in truth and union power. He guided us to the light and gave us strength to fight. That's why we gotta get up. I don't see those fists. Let me hear you. Get up, stand up. Oh yeah. One more time, y'all. Get up. Stand up for your right. Everybody. Hey. I said we just want to take the time to say thank you, Larry, from the big CWA. We just want to take the time to say thank you, Larry, from the big CWA. We just want to take the time to say thank you, Larry, from the big CWA. We just want to take the time to say thank you, Larry. We're going to get up once again, y'all. Get up. Everybody, come on. We love you, Larry. You gave us direction. We won't give up the fight. Come on, people. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. I want to hear it one more time. Keep going. Don't give up the fight. Let's hear it without the music. Come on. Get up. We love you, Larry. Oh, we will, yeah. Get up, stand up. Real big. Come on. We won't give up the fight. Thank you.